Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lessons from Life. My name is Ethan Carter, and 3 months ago, I inherited a house from a man I had never met. At least, that's what I thought. One Friday afternoon, I received a phone call from a lawyer. He asked, "Are you Ethan Carter?" I said, "Yes." Then he told me something that made absolutely no sense. A man named William Brooks had passed away and left me his entire house. The problem was, I had never heard that name before. I thought it was a scam. But the lawyer invited me to his office and showed me the will. There it was, my full name, my signature from years ago on an old document. Everything was real. I asked him the same question over and over. Why would a complete stranger leave me his house? The lawyer simply smiled. He told me you would find the answer inside. A week later, I drove to the property. The house stood alone at the end of a quiet country road. It looked abandoned. The paint was peeling. The windows were dusty. The front porch creaked with every step. Still, something about the place felt strangely familiar. I unlocked the front door. Inside, everything was covered with white sheets. Old furniture, family photographs, a grandfather clock that had stopped years ago. It felt like time had frozen. Then I noticed one photograph sitting on the fireplace, an older man standing beside a little boy. The little boy looked exactly like me. I picked up the picture. On the back, someone had written 4 words, "My grandson, summer 2002. My hand started shaking. Grandson? That couldn't be possible. My parents had always told me both of my grandparents died before I was born. So who was this man? I searched every room. Most of them were empty, until I found a locked basement door. The lawyer had given me only one key. It fit perfectly. The basement lights flickered as I walked downstairs. There were shelves filled with old boxes. One box had my name written across it. Ethan. I opened it slowly. Inside were birthday cards. Every birthday, from my first birthday to my 25th. None of them had ever been opened. Every card began with the same sentence. "Happy birthday, Ethan. I hope one day you'll read this." There were photographs of me growing up. School pictures, soccer games, graduation. Someone had been watching my entire life. But who? Then I found a leather journal. The first page answered everything. "If you're reading this, Ethan, I'm your grandfather." I couldn't breathe. The journal explained that years earlier, my parents had a terrible argument with William. After a family business collapsed, they blamed him for losing everything. They cut all contact. When I was only a baby, they left town and told everyone he had died. William spent the next 25 years trying to reconnect. Every birthday he mailed gifts. Every Christmas he wrote letters. Everything was returned unopened. He never stopped trying. Instead, he quietly followed my life from a distance. Never close enough to interfere. Only close enough to know I was safe. The final pages were written only weeks before his death. I don't expect forgiveness. I only hope you'll know that I loved you every single day of your life. I cried harder than I ever had before. Not because I lost him, because I found him too late. Before leaving the basement, I noticed one final envelope taped beneath the desk. Inside was a key. Attached was a note. "One last surprise. Check the old oak tree behind the house." The next morning, I walked into the backyard. The massive oak tree was impossible to miss. At its base was a small wooden chest buried beneath the soil. Inside wasn't money. It wasn't jewelry. It was something far more valuable. Hundreds of photographs. Every birthday I never celebrated with him. Every letter he never got to send. Every drawing I had made in school that somehow reached him through old family friends. And one final videotape. The lawyer helped convert it into a digital file. When I pressed play, an elderly man appeared on the screen. He smiled warmly. "Hello, Ethan. If you're watching this, then I wasn't lucky enough to meet you again. I don't want you to remember me as the man your parents hated. I want you to remember me as the grandfather who never stopped loving you." He paused for a moment. Then he smiled. "I've been proud of you your entire life." I couldn't stop crying. For 25 years, I believed I had no grandparents. The truth was, one of them had loved me every single day. We just never got the chance to meet. Today, I still live in that old house. I restored every room. I framed every letter. And every year, on my birthday, I sit beneath that old oak tree. I read one of his letters. Then I whisper the words I wish I had said while he was still alive. "Thank you, Grandpa." Because sometimes, the greatest inheritance isn't a house. It's discovering that someone loved you, even when you never knew they existed.